In this short video, I just want to show you a couple of bugs that I've spotted as I've been working on levels and adding some features for you so you can do more custom things, which we do need to fix because they're going to mess things up later on. But I hadn't noticed them because I hadn't fully used the features of the JavaScript code I've created, and the actual two changes are trivial. Actually working out what was going wrong was actually quite weird. So here's a little test level I've created and set up. It's based on the character code. So I've been messing about with the invader level to do something else. So I've got this little map which is a blank followed by brick followed by a couple of blank bricks. And at the minute I'm scaling them to size 1 and that works. The ball bounces off them, and it works quite well. But if I start changing the size of the blocks, which is what I was originally doing, I was trying to like make some different size blocks, so you can, instead of them being rectangular, they could be square, could be smaller and everything. I noticed a problem. So let me just change the scale on this. If I scale it to 5, and if you just note there's like a border before the brick, but let's see what happens when I scale it. So if I've changed the scale to 5, don't worry about where in the code that is because this isn't where the bug is. So I'm just going to save that and refresh my page. You'll notice something really strange. It's no longer got a proper margin. It's scaled 5 times, so that's worked. But you see the ball bouncing in the wrong place? So there's something totally out of whack here. And I spent ages trying to find out what this is and started like writing loads of test code, which is what you end up doing when you're trying to track down a bug. And you can see it's bouncing there. It's like bouncing on what? So there's a misalignment thing. And I eventually tracked this down. It isn't actually any program code that's wrong. It's actually CSS. So when you scale an object in CSS, now I never noticed this because it just sort of worked and I wasn't looking at things when I was scaling. What happens is it scales around the center of the graphic. So when you place a graphic, you're placing it. This is one of the problems with CSS and Java and HTML and everything, is they all inconsistently work. So by default, the top left-hand corner is where you sit a graphic or a container. But the scaling works by default from the center. So wherever you place something, it scales it left and right, up and down around the center of it. It's very strange. So the alignment goes completely out. And the fix for that is to go to the CSS, CSS and find the brick code and put this in. So by default, the origin is at 50%, this. But we need to say scale around the top left-hand corner. So we put 0, 0. So if we now put that in, so all I've done is change the CSS. If I refresh this, you'll see that it sits it properly. Very strange bug. It's just one of those things. There's nothing wrong with the code. It's just logically wrong. And there you go, and it bounces properly. So that's fix number 1. The other one is a little bit deeper. And it's to do with what happens to a brick when it gets killed. So I'm in bricks.js. And I'm looking for one of the routines which does all the collision checking with the balls. And it's this little bit of code here. You can see I've commented a bit of code out, which is why the brick wasn't getting destroyed. But this goes through all the balls and sees if they're touching, okay, and then it kills the brick. So if I take that back out and run my little demo, so if I refresh, when the demo runs, as soon as it hits that brick, it's going to disappear. Then it'll say end of level. There you go. Now, that isn't the bug. That's what I was doing for testing when I was testing all that scaling thing. The bug is to do with this line. Now, one thing we need to do is we need to only do collision checks, and the way that game engine things work is that you might kill some graphics, but during the current frame they're still there, but we mark them as dead, so we have like a Boolean value that we set to true or false. If it's true, that means it's no longer in play. So we need to check to make sure that we don't, once something's been hit by a ball, we don't check again to see if it's another ball because it's gone. All right. Now, originally the code was this, and we only want to, if we've got bricks that have gone off the screen, we don't want those to be hit so that the ball will just fly through them. So we need to check for a couple of things. We need to say, right, as long as it's not dead and as long as the brick is visible, we'll check to see if a ball's hit it. Okay, but I've put this logic. I've put if not dead, that's what this.dead means, the current brick. So we say that means not. So if I'll just zoom that in so you can see that. So this bit means not dead. So yeah, okay. So as long as it's not dead, and then I've put or it's visible, which is really stupid. It's one of those stupid logic errors. So I've said if it's not dead, which is fine, or it's visible, then we need to check to see if a ball's hit it. But the problem we've got is that if we've got a block that's invisible, as long as it's not dead, because we've got an or there, so only one of these things needs to be true for me to do the collision check. So if the block is not dead, hasn't been hit yet, even if it's not visible, I'll still do a collision check with the code that I've set up here. What I actually meant is as long as it's not dead and it's visible. So I needed to change that. Okay, so as soon as I do that, then that made this other thing work. And I only spotted that because I was doing the animation levels, which I don't think I've shown you yet, but I will show you in a video. So just to summarize for those people, I'll put links to this. So the two fixes that you've got to do are in brick.js. I'll put some in the comments on the video, and I'll put some on the page as well. So it's that needs to change from an or, which is the pipe symbol, to two ampersands. So that fixes that part. And then the other bit is in styles.css for the brick, we need to add this line. Okay, transform dash origin colon 0% 0%. So basically top left hand corner. And then it keeps it all working properly. Okay, so I'll post that. So I should have actually just recorded the video of me fixing this, but the fact that it actually took me probably 4 hours to root down both bugs, because they weren't obvious, and it took a lot of like research into. I didn't even think about the CSS to start with, but I tried loads and loads and loads of code changes, and it still wasn't making any difference. So I just thought, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here? How am I doing this? So I did it using CSS, and then I started looking at how the scale thing works in CSS. So I had to do loads of investigation, wrote loads of other programs. So I should have videoed that, but it would have been 4 hours long and you got very bored. Right, so it is add to the brick class in the CSS file, styles.css, add transform origin 0% 0%, and then in brick, it is make sure you change the or on line 35 in collision check. So it says if not this.dead and this.visible. Okay, so I'll summarize that in the little notes that I'll put on the post. That's it. I'm going to start posting videos over the next 2 days showing you how to add specific level types. So you can copy that code in and then have a little bit of a play. Okay.